you check the children?
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Sometimes that is better.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Horror Show. I'm Cecil Laird.
I'm Fuego here.
And we are finally here to give our thoughts on Morbius. We intended to give this to you guys, the weekend it came out, but unfortunately that week the channel got hacked. And as of right now, filming it, we still haven't recovered it. So we're being optimistic by filming this anyway, because, we need to. Let's just go ahead and talk about Morbius. And it may not be the longest review ever, guys, because, I'm sure most other people have covered what happened with this movie, but I was not a fan. I thought it was easily one of the worst Sony superhero movies they've done yet. I really didn't like Venom and Carnage, but this was even less enjoyable to me than that. I mean, the acting was the only okay part. Everything else was pretty trash.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. And they were kind of like hiding this movie of sorts. We didn't even get the press until, like the day before or whatever it was. And so, yeah, all too often they're trying to conceal a turd in that regard. And this is definitely my least favorite of this new, like, shared Spider-Verse, whatever, that Sony is trying to do. Not a fan of this, but then again, I wasn't too big on either of the Venom movies, and I've even been a little ho-hum on the Spidey stuff with Tom Holland, with the exception of the most recent one that went all Spider-Verse crazy and stuff. So I didn't hate some of the transformation effects as much as a lot of people, but the fight scenes went by in a blur, and I could barely see much of what the hell was going on. And I'm going to echo what a lot of other reviewers are saying, in the fact that I feel like this was probably a longer movie, and the fact that it was delayed so many times, they just kept overthinking things and probably just re-edit more test screenings, get feedback, mess with it some more. It definitely felt like an unfinished product, despite the fact that they had so much time, like 2 years of delays, to finally kind of come to terms on something.
So getting into the story, it's a tale of a guy named Michael Morbius with a rare blood disease who meets a friend that also has the same blood disease. They go through life very quickly at the very beginning, and he's now, I don't even know what age, because he's like 50 in actual reality, but I guess he's supposed to be in his late 20s or something, maybe 30s, as a proficient doctor that has created synthetic blood, and he's trying to heal himself, and he uses vampire bat genetic code mixed with humans into a serum that starts turning him into Morbius, the human vampire, that is doing his best not to feed on actual human blood, but instead synthetic blood, because that's how he maintains his sort of sanity and he doesn't turn into a raging killing machine. Yeah. So that's the long and short of it. It sounds like it might be more interesting than it's presented, because it's presented so predictably and uninterestingly and rushed. The only one I really kind of enjoyed, the only character I kind of enjoyed, was Matt Smith's character, because he was just chewing the scenery the whole time. But we'll talk about that in acting. Story-wise, though, it was very basic and very uninterestingly presented.
Yeah, and I can definitely echo that sentiment as well. And, I did like the nature of the friendship between Matt Smith's character and Milo and Morbius. I did like that, especially when you see that they first meet as kids, and it was kind of a sweet, just kind of friendship starting. But the fact that there was so much glossed over, especially with like a subplot about a girl who seemed like she was dying, that they kind of abandoned.
Just literally dropped,
unfortunately. Yeah. I did like the writing of the friendship, especially the park scene where they sit down and, Leto's Morbius is trying his best to convince Milo to get some funding, because he's obviously, with his deep pockets, allowing this sort of experimental stuff to go down. But I feel like the PG-13 rating really showed, and I know they were thinking of, having Morbius in, I think, the Blade sequel. From the original Blade movie from the late 90s, there was a deleted scene, from what I understand, where it was going to tease Morbius, and they were maybe going to have him in the second one that Guillermo del Toro ended up eventually directing. But it very much felt defanged, declawed, and from just the writing of the blue blood and all that different stuff. But I know that the creation of Morbius was also at the same time the comic code was coming into play, hence the fact that that's why he was a living vampire and all this. So yeah, I guess PG-13 for the roots of the character maybe makes sense, but this is definitely what I would gauge as a missed opportunity for something that, with the casting of Leto and Matt Smith, and we'll get into the acting right now, I guess, but this could have been pretty cool, and it wasn't.
So yeah, acting wise, I mean, Jared Leto I thought was fine. He was less obnoxious than he has been in a lot of other movies he's been in recently, especially Suicide Squad. But I guess he was obnoxious in that Gucci movie too.
I've seen it. I mean, it was the character that he was playing. He's not that bad. He's under
I
He's under a lot of makeup in that movie. You know?
But nonetheless,
he's transformative.
he was okay in this one.
Yeah.
Matt Smith, like I said, was having a lot of fun. The scientist character that didn't manage to age at all in 25 years, even though he started kind of old. I like that actor.
Oh, I forget his name, but he's awesome. In
Yeah,
so many
he's
things
great in
I've
so
seen
many
him
things,
in over the
especially
years.
Chernobyl. But
Yeah, he was the lead in Chernobyl.
but in this one, he was kind of wasted. And the girl scientist, okay, she was serviceable, but she's not. I'm not going to remember her in the near future, probably.
Yeah, and the one-note cops and everything who were
Yeah, well,
supposedly there
Tyrese, who's like usually comic relief, like in Fast and the Furious, and he played the straight man in this, and his partner was the one doing most of the
And yet I've seen
acting.
that guy in his fair share of comedic stuff. Like
Yeah.
I recognized him, but I sadly don't know the name of the actor. Yeah, for me, Matt Smith stole the show, but in an outrageous, at times, like dancing scene in Spider-Man 3 sort of way. Like some
Kind
of
of,
his
yeah.
moves were just I don't know what he was going for, if that was in the script or just him being allowed to run with it. But it was a bit much at times, but I still, as far as his motivations and him becoming the villain and the dissolution of the friendship, I did feel like between the two of them, between him and Leto, it was sold relatively well. The love interest, though, I didn't think was properly developed, and the fact that it was like switch flip sort of thing for it to suddenly kind of be, and also a revelation at the end of the film, which we're not spoiling, but it was just kind of one of those like, oh, what the hell, why not?
Yeah, and then the post-credits scene, which was this fumbled attempt at making it tie in with the Sony Spider-Verse, and it's just, none of it makes any sense. So the whole thing is really just an unfortunate film, to be honest. The last thing that's worth mentioning, because the movie was already in trouble, and then the effects came in and really sunk it. Because the amount of CG bullshit that was in this movie, the amount of crappy CG facial transformations that
didn't
weren't
mind
even
those as
necessary,
much.
all of that CG stuff was so overdone. And then whenever there's fighting, there's like all this wisp of smoke stuff that happens every time he's flying around anywhere. And they only like 2 or 3 times slow down stuff enough to let the audience have a look at what's actually going on. But in that, it's only like a brief 1 second of the fight. So you're seeing like 3 different 1-second segments of each fight, and it's really lame, really lame.
Yeah, they did some Matrix rip-offy sort of stuff. And I guess everybody has ripped off the Matrix, which was ripping off what John Woo with the slow-mo sort of bits and the bullet time and whatnot, which we got in a few sequences. But I didn't mind the transformation. I mean, there was at times where it looked kind of craptastic, and the finished product I didn't like, but when it was like the quick little just alteration, I didn't mind it as much. It was, I don't know. I also liked the manifestation of like the little ripples in the ears when he was like having that sense sort of coming in. I mean, there was cool ideas, but
I mean, that was just Daredevil. They did that in Daredevil.
Did they?
Yeah, because
I never saw the Affleck Daredevil.
Yeah, that's, well, because he has radar sense, so he would like use his billy club and bash something metal, and it would send out all these waves and it would basically come back with pictures,
That's
just like Bat's sonar works. So yeah, they
So
they
not
just
much
did that.
originality
No,
here in that
not at
case.
all. 100% no.
Yeah. So this was, I mean, I'll just double down, I guess, on saying this was a missed opportunity for, with the star power in play. This could have been something really cool, but yeah. In the end,
Some people, believe it or not, I've seen some takes that actually like it, but
Yeah, same.
I don't understand them, but it is what it is. So that's pretty much all we have to say about Morbius, you guys. Let us know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. I'm hoping that on this side of the camera we get the channel stuff straightened out soon. If you're seeing this, then that means it's all straightened out and everything should be back to normal. So thank you guys very much for watching. Thank you to all of our patrons for continuing to support the channel, even when the channel's not up. So I greatly appreciate you guys. But until next time, I've been Cecil Laird.
And gracias a Jaime Fuego.
And remember, stay scared.